Hi, this is Amy Tanner, and this is Module 6 in Psychopharmacology. And this assignment is on medication noncompliance or non-adherence. First, I'd like to talk about just what that is. Medication noncompliance is basically not taking a medication the way it was prescribed to you, and that can vary. That can be anything from just taking the medication sporadically, not the amount you're supposed to take, not at the time you're supposed to take, or just whenever you remember to take it, all the way to just not taking the medication at all is noncompliance. Overtaking a medication is considered noncompliance as well. If you ask 100 people why they think people stop taking their medications, a common response, I think, that my personal opinion would be that it's forgetfulness or it's the cost, because drugs are expensive, especially when you can't get them in the non-generic form. So people would say, oh, I just keep forgetting to take it, or it just costs too much, so I don't want to buy it. But researchers say that as many as half of patients newly diagnosed with a condition stop taking their medications to treat the condition. And this is often intentional. So it's not forgetful, it's an intentional not taking of the drug. But why would people stop taking what could be potentially life-saving medications for them? Well, researcher Nick Barber says that approximately one half of medication non-adherence, so 50%, is unintentional. So that is forgetting. Didn't realize they didn't take it. They forget to take it. But the other half of medication non-adherence is intentional, and it is often related to the patient's beliefs about the medication and concerns about taking it. So they're aware that they're not taking it, and they're purposefully not taking it. Beliefs and concerns are what drives this noncompliance. I think anyone who studies psychology or is at least familiar with psychology understands that beliefs are very powerful. I think statistics like the one that Nick Barber described from his research communicate what he communicated by saying that is that the power that unwanted side effects can have in a person's decision to take a potentially life-saving drug is more than what most might think. If it feels like it's doing the person harm, the medication, so they take the medication and they have these unpleasant side effects, well, that feels like what they're taking is doing something bad to them. That can definitely change their belief about a medication. Well, it's supposed to be helping me, but every time I take it, I feel bad. I feel tired. I feel nauseous. My skin itches, or whatever the side effect may be. With belief playing a major role in medication noncompliance, belief is what should be one of the primary basis for compliance as well. Sometimes, regardless of side effects, so side effects aside, sometimes people just aren't convinced that a medication is really benefiting them. So maybe they don't notice any unpleasant side effects at all, but they just don't really buy into the fact that it's doing something good for them. And this can be primarily because pharmaceutical companies make so much money, and there's been a lot of controversy about that over time, especially here recently. There is a certain amount of skepticism people have over whether or not they really need some drugs that they are given, especially if the drug doesn't come in generic. That can contribute to their beliefs. Some other reasons that people are non-compliant with their medications are, for instance, if someone has arthritis, Simply opening a child-safe top could be a deterrent, could be a barrier to compliance. If it hurts their hands to open the bottle, then they're not likely going to want to take that or feel that pain just to take the medicine that maybe they don't even believe really helps them. For me personally, I have a sensitive gag reflex. I also had a very difficult time as a child swallowing pills, and my parents would sometimes hold me down and hold my nose, and I have memories of that, and that was unpleasant. And that has stuck with me a bit. And into my adulthood, I still feel like I'm going to choke on pills that are too large, or will gag just at the tickle of a pill in my throat. Because of this, I take many vitamins in powder form, and I have liquid form whenever I can. So for me personally, the size of a pill can be a deterrent for me being compliant. Finally, apathy is another reason that apathy can play a role, because if you don't really care that much, if you don't really care much whether a medication treatment works or not, then you are much less likely to comply. It's just not that important to you. And this apathy is probably a major factor in patients that are treated for chronic diseases like hypertension and diabetes, where they don't really have any noticeable symptoms. They've been told they're sick, but they don't have noticeable symptoms. So they're going to be particularly prone to noncompliance because it doesn't alleviate anything for them to take the medication. Physically, they don't feel it does, even though it may be doing them good. Okay. In summation, the fundamental reasons why people do not take the medications prescribed to them the way they are supposed to is deeply rooted in human psychology. They vary, and they're very complex, the reasons. A little story I have, someone once told me that the reason why we forget people's names when they first tell us their names is because we are so focused on the impression that we ourselves are making. And because of that focus, we're not paying attention to what their name is. We're not retaining that information. And this is because we may be a little anxious or nervous to be meeting someone new. But in the same way, if we are under stress in a medical visit or seeing a doctor, and that can be a stressful situation, maybe it's the first time to meet that doctor, we're likely to focus maybe on ourselves or the building, or there's a needle over there. We're distracted and maybe even nervous, and we don't fully register what the doctor is telling us sometimes. So this can be another reason why we aren't compliant, because we didn't retain in the doctor's visit just how important this medication is for our health, when we should take it. Maybe the doctor says you should definitely want to eat some bread or milk so you don't get nauseous on this medication. And maybe we didn't retain that, and then we're nauseous whenever we take it. And so that would be a reason why we medication non-adherence. Also, why it will help. Back to the belief being a basic reason why people are non-compliant. If they don't truly know why it'll help, how it'll help, then they're likely to not truly believe it'll help them. And when they leave the doctor's office, a lot of things that are said in that brief, quick encounter with the doctor are often quickly forgotten. This can certainly have an effect on how they believe or what they believe about a drug. If it didn't register how impactful taking the drug or not taking the drug could be, then that's not ingrained in their belief system about the drug. People fail often to tell their doctors, to admit, to confess, to be honest that they are not taking the drug. And sometimes they even outright lie and say they are, just so that their doctor's impression of them is that they're a responsible person, which, is ironic in a sense to lie to be perceived as responsible is in itself irresponsible. So there are consequences for medication noncompliance, and these consequences can sometimes even be fatal when it comes to life-saving drugs. There are strategies for addressing noncompliance, but before you can address it, you have to detect it. There are two ways to detect it. The first would be an indirect way, such as self-reporting, taking a survey, offering patients a survey, interviewing them, or just the basic therapeutic outcome. Well, nothing is getting better. Are you really taking the medicine? And there's pill counters. You can that's also a self-reporting with the pill counters. And they have computerized compliance monitors now where you can enter in that you took it or didn't or how you felt. They're getting very high tech with things these days. So the other way in which you can detect noncompliance is directly, which would entail biological markers such as taking urine or blood tests to see if that drug is really in the system, how much of it and how long it's been there. Tracer compounds are another biological way to detect whether someone is compliant or not. But just as the reasons for noncompliance are so deeply rooted in human psychology, so are reasons for proper compliance. Patients are more likely to comply regardless of other factors when they truly feel that a treatment decision has been reached collaboratively. So that means they feel involved in the decision to take the drug. They feel they are a team with the doctor and the pharmacist, that they're all working together for a common goal, which is the betterment of their own health. I think sometimes we look at doctors or people with degrees as so much smarter or they're higher or above in some hierarchy, which can make you not feel on a team with somebody because of their profession or credentials. But to truly grow a belief that this medicine is helping me, they need to feel that they're part of the decision to take it. And the common goal they share with the doctor is to better themselves and their health and their life. Patients overall need to feel comfortable being honest with physicians, psychiatrists, and therapists. If taking a medication is burdensome in any way, opening the bottle or just the time of day or how often, only in sharing that can clinicians strategize ways to alleviate some of that burden, such as me telling a doctor, hey, I don't do well with large pills. Is there a liquid or a powder? I'm going to be more likely to take this if it comes in cherry flavored cough syrup form. So just being able to be honest about that, and us as clinicians can make a person feel more comfortable in various different ways. That they are free to talk about how a medicine might be burdensome to them or reasons why they don't feel like taking it. Or if they just feel like, I don't really believe this is helping me. They need to feel that level of comfort that they can share that, and then it can be addressed. It can't be addressed if it's never brought to the doctor's attention or the therapist's attention. Overall, we are more likely to do anything that we feel is at least particularly or partially, our own idea. For whether it's taking a medication, to taking a shower, to exercising, we're more likely to follow through with an action if we believe that it is truly our decision to do so. So that is one way to psychologically, address medication noncompliance. And also reiterate the importance of medications that can be life-saving, whether it's immediate or taken over a long period of time. Okay, thank you.